The First Contact. In the year 2157, humans were still exploring their small corner of the Milky Way when they made first contact. It wasn't peaceful. It wasn't diplomatic. It was violent, sudden, and would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The mining colony on Mars received the first warning. A massive ship, unlike anything humans had ever built, appeared at the edge of the solar system. The ship belonged to the Krill, an advanced species that had ruled over dozens of star systems for thousands of years. The Krill were tall, blue-skinned beings who had evolved on a high-gravity world. They looked down on other species, especially the newly discovered humans, who seemed weak and primitive in comparison. Their commander, Lord Vex, gave Earth a simple message: surrender or die. But the Krill had made a terrible mistake. They had judged humanity by their technology, by their short time among the stars. They hadn't studied Earth's long history of warfare, survival, and adaptation. Jack Stone, a former military commander turned Mars colony leader, knew humanity had one advantage: they were used to being the underdogs. While the Krill expected an easy victory, Jack organized the first resistance. He knew the tunnels and caves of Mars better than any alien ever could. The Krill landed their forces near the main colony, expecting the humans to run. Instead, they found empty buildings. As they moved deeper into the colony, the humans struck from hidden positions. Years of mining had created a maze of tunnels, and the humans used them perfectly. The alien warriors were stronger and had better weapons, but they weren't ready for human tactics. The colonists used mining explosives to collapse tunnels behind the Krill forces, trapping them in small groups. Then they attacked using their knowledge of close-quarter fighting, something the Krill had never needed to master. Lord Vex watched in disbelief as his elite warriors were defeated by what he had considered a primitive species. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were winning. They turned their mining tools into weapons, their excavation vehicles into combat machines. The battle for Mars lasted 3 days. When it was over, the humans had captured one of the most advanced warships in the galaxy. More importantly, they had shown the galaxy something new: humans weren't just another species to be conquered. They were warriors who could adapt, improvise, and overcome any challenge. The Krill retreated, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. Other alien species watched with interest as news of the battle spread across the galaxy. Some were afraid, others were curious, but all of them had to accept one truth: humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they had made quite an entrance. As Jack stood in the captured Krill ship, studying their advanced technology, he smiled. Humanity had just taken its first step toward becoming something the galaxy had never seen before. They weren't the strongest, the fastest, or the most advanced species. But they were the most determined, the most adaptable, and as they would soon prove, the most dangerous. The message sent back to Earth was simple: we won the first battle. Get ready for war. In response, governments across Earth began working together like never before. The age of human division was ending. A new age of unity, driven by the need to survive in a hostile galaxy, was beginning. Little did the galaxy know, this was just the first chapter in humanity's rise to become the ultimate warrior species. The Krill had awakened something that had been building throughout human history: the unmatched human spirit of survival, innovation, and determination. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Great Adaptation. 6 months after the Battle of Mars, humanity had learned more about space warfare than they had in all their previous years of space exploration. The captured Krill ship became humanity's greatest teacher, revealing secrets of advanced technology that would have taken decades to discover otherwise. The United Earth Defense Force was formed, combining the best military minds from every nation. Their first task was to understand why humans had succeeded where other species had failed against the Krill. The answer was surprisingly simple: humans were used to fighting in every possible environment. Tom Reed, a former deep-sea welder turned space engineer, led the team studying the Krill ship systems. He noticed something interesting: alien species had developed their technology based on their home environments. The Krill, from their high-gravity world, built everything around brute force and power. They never considered the advantages of fighting in different conditions. Humans, on the other hand, had fought wars in deserts, jungles, mountains, and oceans. They had learned to adapt to every terrain Earth had thrown at them. This knowledge proved priceless as humanity prepared for the coming war. The Defense Force created new combat suits based on this insight. Unlike the heavy armor of the Krill, human battle suits were flexible, allowing soldiers to fight in any environment. They copied the best features of deep-sea diving suits, mountain climbing gear, and desert survival equipment. The first test of these new suits came when the Krill attacked an Earth outpost on Europa, Jupiter's icy moon. The aliens expected another ground battle, but instead, humans engaged them underwater, beneath Europa's frozen surface. The Krill's powerful weapons and heavy armor became a disadvantage in the low visibility, freezing water. Using techniques learned from centuries of naval warfare, human forces moved silently through the dark water. Their suits, designed to work in multiple environments, allowed them to outmaneuver the struggling Krill warriors. The battle was over in hours, with minimal human casualties. This victory taught humanity another valuable lesson: they didn't need to match alien technology directly. Instead, they could use their adaptability to turn any environment into their advantage. Earth's military leaders began looking at space itself differently, not as an empty void, but as another environment to master. The news of a second human victory spread across the galaxy even faster than the first. Other alien species began to understand what made humans different. While most species specialized in one type of warfare based on their home world, humans were becoming masters of combat in every environment they encountered. Back on Earth, factories worked day and night to build more advanced suits and ships. Every defeat of the Krill provided new alien technology to study and improve upon. Humanity wasn't just copying alien designs, they were making them better by adding their own unique approach to warfare. The Krill's Council of Leaders faced an uncomfortable truth: the species they had dismissed as primitive was quickly becoming one of the most dangerous forces in the galaxy. Their warriors, once proud of their superior strength, now feared facing humans in battle. They never knew what new strategy or adaptation these resourceful beings would use next. The galaxy watched with growing interest as humanity continued to evolve and adapt. The question was no longer whether humans could survive among the stars, but how far they would go in their journey to become the ultimate warriors of the galaxy. The breaking point. 1 year into the Galactic War, humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. The Krill had formed an alliance with another powerful species, the Nexus, silicon-based beings who specialized in electronic warfare. Together, they planned to crush the human resistance once and for all. The joint alien fleet arrived at Saturn, targeting the human research bases hidden in its rings. But this time, they brought a weapon that threatened to end the war: a massive electromagnetic pulse device that could disable all human technology within the solar system. Mark West, a brilliant human scientist, recognized the threat immediately. The aliens believed that without their technology, humans would be helpless. It was time to prove them wrong again. Mark had studied ancient human warfare, particularly the strategies used when advanced technology wasn't available. As the alien fleet approached Saturn, they activated their weapon. Across the solar system, human ships and stations went dark. The aliens celebrated what they thought was their moment of victory. But they had underestimated humanity's greatest strength: the ability to fight without relying on advanced technology. The research bases in Saturn's rings had been preparing for this possibility. Using simple mechanical systems that couldn't be affected by electromagnetic pulses, human forces launched clouds of ring debris toward the alien ships. The chunks of ice and rock, accelerated by Saturn's gravity, became natural projectiles. The alien ships, designed to defend against energy weapons and missiles, weren't prepared for such primitive attacks. Their advanced shields couldn't stop the endless barrage of debris. Several ships were heavily damaged before they could adjust their defenses. While the aliens were distracted, human forces launched their counterattack. They had hidden backup systems shielded against electromagnetic pulses, technology developed from studying Earth's history of nuclear warfare. These systems came online just as the aliens were at their most vulnerable. The Battle of Saturn's Rings, as it came to be known, showed the galaxy something new about humans. While other species became more dependent on advanced technology, humans maintained their ability to fight at any level of technological development. They could adapt not just to different environments, but to different levels of technology as well. The Nexus retreated first, their confidence shattered by humanity's resourcefulness. The Krill followed soon after, realizing that their alliance had failed to achieve its goal. The human victory was complete, but it had taught them an important lesson: they needed to prepare for more complex challenges as the war expanded. In the aftermath, human engineers developed new hybrid systems that combined advanced technology with simple mechanical backups. They called it multi-layer warfare, the ability to fight effectively regardless of the technological situation. The galaxy began to understand why humans were becoming so dangerous. They weren't just masters of adapting to different environments, they were masters of adapting to any situation, any limitation, any challenge. Other species had evolved to rely on their strengths. Humans had evolved to overcome their weaknesses. As news of the victory spread, more alien species began to reconsider their alliances with the Krill. Some even began secretly reaching out to humanity, curious about these beings who seemed to grow stronger with each challenge they faced. The war was far from over, but the balance of power in the galaxy was slowly beginning to shift. The Hunter's Game. 2 years into the war, the tide was turning. The Krill's defeats had encouraged other species to question their dominance. But one species, the Hunters, saw an opportunity. They were master strategists who had stayed neutral until now, watching and learning from both sides. The Hunters decided to test humanity's abilities directly. They chose an unusual battlefield, the dense asteroid fields between Mars and Jupiter. Their plan was simple but clever: they would force humans to fight in the most chaotic environment possible. The Hunter ships were small and agile, perfectly designed for weaving through asteroid fields. They launched raids on human supply lines, striking quickly and disappearing into the field of tumbling rocks. Their attacks were precise and calculated, designed to draw humans into traps. Captain Lisa Gray, a veteran of the Mars defense, recognized the pattern in these attacks. The Hunters weren't just testing human combat abilities, they were studying how humans thought and adapted. She proposed a bold plan: instead of chasing the Hunters, humans would become hunters themselves. Human ships began moving in pairs through the asteroid field, but not to find the enemy. Instead, they started mining operations, deliberately making themselves appear vulnerable. The Hunters couldn't resist such easy targets. But when they attacked, they found themselves caught in a new kind of trap. The human ships had developed a technique they called asteroid shepherding. Using controlled explosions and gravity manipulators, they could direct the paths of nearby asteroids. When the Hunters attacked, they found themselves boxed in by waves of redirected space rocks. The Hunters discovered that their superior maneuverability meant nothing when humans could control the entire battlefield itself. Every escape route could be cut off by a carefully calculated asteroid collision. Their hit-and-run tactics became useless when humans could literally move mountains to trap them. But the greatest surprise came when the trapped Hunter ships received an unexpected message. Instead of destroying them, humans offered them a choice: surrender and share their knowledge, or try to escape the closing walls of rock. Most chose to surrender, amazed by humanity's approach to warfare. The captured Hunters revealed something important about humanity that even humans hadn't fully understood. While other species specialized in specific tactics or strategies, humans were unique in their ability to think in multiple ways at once. They could be aggressive attackers, clever defenders, or patient trappers, sometimes all in the same battle. The hunter's leader, impressed by human ingenuity, made an unprecedented decision. Their species would not only make peace with humanity but would also offer to become their allies. It was the first time in their history that the hunters had chosen to ally with a younger species. This alliance marked a turning point in the Galactic War. The hunters brought centuries of tactical knowledge, while humans brought their unique adaptability and creativity. Together, they began planning operations that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The story of how humans turned one of the galaxy's most dangerous species from observers to allies spread quickly. Other neutral species began to see humanity not just as warriors, but as beings who could turn enemies into friends, who could find solutions where others saw only conflict. The Mind Warriors. 3 years into the war, the Krill made their most desperate move yet. They sought help from the mystics, ancient beings who had mastered the power of telepathy. The mystics had always stayed out of physical wars, considering them beneath their advanced mental abilities. But the Krill convinced them that humans were a threat to galactic order itself. The mystics' first attack was unlike anything humans had faced before. During a major space battle near Neptune, human crews suddenly found themselves unable to focus. The mystics were attacking their minds directly, filling them with fear and confusion. The Krill ships closed in for what they thought would be an easy victory. But once again, they had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt. Dr. Anna White, a military psychologist, had been studying the effects of extreme stress on human soldiers. She quickly realized what was happening and proposed a counter-strategy. Humans had been fighting their own mental battles for thousands of years. Depression, anxiety, fear, these were enemies every human had faced. Dr. White's team quickly developed mental training techniques based on ancient meditation practices and modern psychological research. The next time the mystics attacked, they found something unexpected. Human minds were not the easy targets they had imagined. Years of dealing with their own internal struggles had made humans uniquely resistant to mental warfare. Some humans even managed to push back against the telepathic attacks. The mystics were shocked to discover that humans could adapt to psychic warfare just as they had adapted to physical combat. Each telepathic attack became less effective as humans learned to strengthen their mental defenses. It was something no other species had ever managed to do. But humanity's greatest surprise came from an unexpected source. The youngest human crew members, who had grown up playing complex strategy games and solving virtual reality puzzles, showed natural resistance to telepathic interference. Their minds were already trained to think in multiple layers, making them harder to influence. The mystics' powers, which had always made them untouchable, were becoming less effective with each encounter. They had never faced a species that could build mental resistance so quickly. Their certainty in their own superiority began to crumble. During the Battle of Neptune's rings, the humans revealed their new defense. Working with hunter allies, they had developed a system that used focused electromagnetic fields to disrupt telepathic attacks. Combined with their growing mental resistance, it turned the tide of the battle. The mystics retreated, but not before learning a harsh lesson about humanity. Physical adaptation was only part of what made humans dangerous. Their minds were just as adaptable as their bodies, capable of growing stronger through adversity rather than being broken by it. The Krill's alliance with the mystics had backfired completely. Instead of crushing humanity's resistance, they had helped humans develop yet another form of combat mastery. The galaxy now had to face an uncomfortable truth: humans were becoming stronger with each new type of warfare they encountered. The ultimate weapon. 4 years of war had changed the galaxy forever. The Krill's once mighty empire was crumbling, and humanity's alliance with the hunters had grown stronger. But the Krill had one final weapon, something they believed would finally end the human threat: a planet-killing bomb that could destroy entire worlds. The weapon was hidden in a massive space station near the galaxy's core, protected by the strongest fleet the Krill had ever assembled. They called it the Star Killer, and its first target would be Earth. The Krill believed that destroying humanity's homeworld would break their spirit once and for all. But they had forgotten the most important lesson of the war: humans were at their most dangerous when facing extinction. When spies discovered the Krill's plan, Earth's leaders called for a mission that seemed impossible. They would need to steal the weapon before it could be used. Major Bob Miller led the mission. He had started the war as a simple soldier but had become one of humanity's greatest commanders. His plan combined everything humans had learned about warfare over the past 4 years. It would need to be perfect. They would only get one chance. The mission began with a massive attack on the Krill's defensive fleet. Human and hunter ships engaged the enemy in what looked like a desperate frontal assault. The Krill commanders smiled, thinking their enemies had finally lost their minds. But this was just the first layer of the plan. While the space battle raged, small teams of human commandos were moving through artificial wormholes, a technology they had developed by combining hunter science with human creativity. These tunnels through space let them bypass the Krill's outer defenses completely. The commandos, wearing the latest version of adaptive battle suits, infiltrated the space station using tactics learned from 4 years of war. They could fight in zero gravity, move through maintenance tunnels, and even survive in space. Each soldier was a product of humanity's endless adaptation. When the Krill finally detected the infiltration, it was too late. The human teams had already reached the Star Killer's control room. But instead of destroying the weapon, Major Miller had a different plan. His engineers began reprogramming it, turning the Krill's ultimate weapon against them. The Krill commanders watched in horror as their own weapon powered up, not targeting Earth, but sending out a signal that would disable their entire defense network. In minutes, every Krill warship and defense station went dark. The mighty Empire had been defeated by its own weapon. But what happened next shocked the galaxy even more. Instead of destroying the helpless Krill ships, humanity offered peace. They had proven they could win the war, but they chose to end it without further bloodshed. It was a display of power that impressed even their enemies, the power to show mercy. The legacy. 5 years after first contact, the galaxy had changed forever. The peace treaty with the Krill marked the end of their empire and the beginning of a new era. Humanity had proven itself not just as warriors, but as leaders who could unite different species for a common cause. The Galactic Council, once dominated by the Krill, was reformed. Humans were invited to join as full members, alongside their hunter allies and even their former enemies. The Krill, humbled by defeat, chose to learn from the species they had once dismissed as primitive. Professor James Reed, now the head of Earth's Interstellar Academy, often told his students the story of humanity's rise. "We didn't become the ultimate warriors because we were the strongest or most advanced," he would say. "We succeeded because we never stopped learning, never stopped adapting." The proof of his words could be seen throughout human space. The adaptive battle suits had evolved into peaceful exploration gear, helping humans study dangerous planets. The asteroid shepherding techniques were being used to build new space stations and colonies. Even the mental defenses developed against the mystics had led to breakthroughs in treating psychological trauma. Other species began sending their warriors to train with humans, learning not just combat techniques but the human way of thinking. The hunters taught strategy, the Krill shared their advanced technology, and the mystics, who had eventually made peace with humanity, taught mental disciplines. But all of them came to learn the secret of human adaptability. The greatest change was in how the galaxy viewed warfare itself. Humans had shown that true strength wasn't about having the most powerful weapons or the largest fleet. It was about being able to adapt, to think creatively, and to show wisdom even in victory. Earth's military academies became centers of learning for the entire galaxy. Young warriors from hundreds of species trained alongside humans, learning to combine their natural abilities with human adaptability. These mixed units became known as the Galactic Peacekeepers, protecting civilization across the stars. The old Krill Empire was transformed into a network of allied worlds, each contributing its unique strengths to the greater whole. The hunters provided their tactical expertise, the mystics shared their mental arts, and the Krill offered their advanced technology. At the center of it all were the humans, binding everything together with their incredible ability to adapt and innovate. Looking back, historians would say that humanity's greatest victory wasn't defeating the Krill or mastering new forms of combat. It was showing the galaxy a better way forward, proving that being the ultimate warrior species meant knowing when to fight and when to make peace. As humanity continued to explore the stars, they carried this legacy with them. They had become the galaxy's ultimate warriors not by conquering others, but by learning from every challenge, adapting to every situation, and turning enemies into allies. It was a lesson the galaxy would never forget.